Fly, shop and relax with Citywing, sponsoring Women Today. Click citywing.com.
Faster my good afternoon. This is Women Today on Manx Radio FM with me, Beth Espy.
Me, Christy D. Haven.
And me, Jo Pack.
Oh, she's not here again. Where are you now?
Here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Yes, I can.
I'm back.
You're back.
Technology of today. I'm live at the grandstand.
On the programme this afternoon, a show company has stepped out of line, apparently, with their latest marketing email reminding women to shave their legs. If you received that, would you have been offended? We hear from the man who penned this football anthem.
And every single one of us remembers when, 'cause we were there.
And what is it like bringing a newborn to the TT? Jo is going to be finding out a little bit later. As ever, we'd love to hear from you this afternoon, so do get in touch with us. You can email studio@manxradio.com. You can text 166 177 or go to the Women Today Facebook page. We are also on Twitter as well. It is @MR Women Today. And we heard a clip of that anthem there. We're going to be talking much more about that later on in the show. But our studio guest this afternoon was a member of a group that's been described as Britain's first ever boy band. They were the Dallas Boys, a 5-piece vocal group, and here they are singing Jericho.
Just been the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Just been the battle of Jericho, walls came a-tumbling down. Just been the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Just been the battle of Jericho, walls came a-tumbling down. Good morning, Sister Mary. Good morning, Brother Joe. I've got to stop and talk.
Bob Wragg, how does it feel listening back to that? You were getting a groove on there.
I was getting moody, yeah. I was back in the 50s.
Tell me about the Dallas Boys. How did they come about?
Well, we all played rugby together as youngsters, as 18-year-olds, in Leicester. And sitting on the coach and singing in the way and singing all the hits of the time, which are songs like Levism and a Splendid Thing and a few doo-wop songs. And we decided to form a little group between us, and that's how it started. We had a couple of lucky breaks with the programmes on television, and we finished up doing the Oh Boy show with Cliff and Marty Wilde.
Oh, I love it, Cliff.
Cliff. And then Marty, of course, was there. He was a great singer. And then we did the 6-5 special. We did that, one of the shows, a live show from here at the Villa with Lonnie Donegan. You wouldn't remember Lonnie was a king of the skiffle.
Oh, he's a legend. He started so many different music things, Lonnie Donegan.
And we were all mates, we were all good friends. And the plane was late from Blackpool, so we had to get changed in the cabs. And then shout, as we were about to go up, Pete Murray and Josephine Douglas were the compares, and they said, "I'm sorry, the Dallas Boys haven't made it. The plane's late from Blackpool." And we arrived there, and we're giving them the tempo, counting the tempo, and on we went. All live.
Wow. So your wife Sheila was also in a group. She was part of the Kay Sisters.
Kay Sisters, yeah.
How did you two meet?
We met in Blackpool during a summer season. Sheila was on a theatre which is pulled down now, called the Hippodrome, and the top of the bill then was a guy called Michael Holliday. He had a big hit with "Someday I'm Going to Write the Story of My Life." And big shows that had lots of names in those days. And we were in the Palace Theatre, which is also pulled down now, with Lonnie Donegan in a kind of a rock and roll show. And we went to a show business barbecue on the beach. We had a big fire going on Blackpool Beach, and all the show business, because there were about 4 or 5 theatres there, all with names on. And I hadn't met Sheila properly. In fact, the night before we went to the Tower Ballroom, and all the Dallas Boys danced with Sheila apart from me. But I think the trick was when we were all around the fire, and I just put my arms around her.
Oh, you smooth mover.
And that was it.
Hey.
And we walked home that night at 4 o'clock in the morning, and a seagull went on Sheila and I, so we thought, well, it's got to be. And it's lasted for 53 years, so it's been good.
And you have 2 daughters, you've grandchildren as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, though, Bob, I suppose you were, at the time, a celebrity couple in some ways.
We were, yeah. We had to, I shouldn't say this, before we got married, if we wanted to creep into a hotel, we used to have to dress up.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it was, in those days, it was very, very different, you know. And, yes, we used to go in disguise quite often. because we were well known. I'd be on television 2 or 3 times a week in black and white. So it was a little bit tricky at times.
What was your favourite choice of disguise?
Well, I remember going with Tommy Steele and Tommy. We all went to the cinema in the afternoon, and we all had wigs and moustaches and everything to go to the cinema. Because we arrived at the theatre early, so the management phoned up the cinemas that were all coming over to watch this film, and we all had to go in all this. I think wigs and moustaches and flat caps.
Even for the women.
Yeah.
But when you look at the music industry now, Bob, and obviously, I mean, it's such different times. We've got the social media, you know, people's stories are in the papers all the time. How do you feel when you look at that?
Well, it's a completely different era. I mean, I don't understand the internet thing anyway. I mean, I was downloading that. I really don't know what it means. I mean, we started off making 78s, as did Sheila and the K Sisters, and then went on to and then EPs and LPs. But it's completely different now. Completely different. I mean, every show is recorded, and all our shows in the 50s and 60s were all live. And the capacity of the audience viewers were like London Palladium was 25 million people on a Sunday night watching the show. And most of the shows were big viewing figures, you know. Now, when I hear like, oh, it's terrific, we had 6 million people watching Top Gear, so I thought, well, that's nothing really, you know.
Completely different world.
There was only 3 channels at the time.
History.
Well, it's difficult to say it because I really enjoyed the 50s and the 60s, and I think I was cut out for that. And I still remember those days, and very, very well. And I've got a few pictures that I look at when I'm playing the piano all in front of me, and I think, and most of them are not with us anymore, and I get a little bit emotional over those things. But basically, I wouldn't change a thing in my life, not for my wife and kids or anything at all.
And the secret to a long and happy marriage is?
Love each other. That's all. I mean, love is deeper than anything, and we get on great, Sheila and I. We've always been like mates as well. And of course we share the same interest with music. I mean, Sheila can harmonise. If I'm sawing a piece of wood, she'll put a harmony to it. She can sing anything. And we enjoy that. And my other partner, Stan, he's the one that's alive. He comes over with his wife every year, and we have a bit of a steam up around the piano and sing. But it's good fun. But we don't do it professionally anymore, nor even for charity anymore. So we did it for 15 years over here and enjoyed it, you know, and we earned about 5,000 or 6,000 for Operation Smile and lots of Manx charities as well. So I think we've done our share of the charity work anyway and enjoyed it.
It's interesting you mentioned to us before we came on air about how Sheila with the K Sisters is actually about to release an album at the moment,
amazing.
Isn't she?
We couldn't believe this. When we keep tabs on what's happening, and somebody phoned and said, well, you've got a record out on the internet, Amazon, and it's a new release, the best of the K Sisters, 33 tracks, and Sheila's on every one. Right from, goes back to 1955 or something, right through to Sheila left in 63. She was at the Palladium with Ken Dodd for 8 months, and that was her last show then. I remember picking Sheila up from the Palladium door, and we were going back to Leicester where we had our home, and we went straight by the motorway turn-off. We were chatting away there and forgot all about it, and off we went, going up towards Manchester, you know. But yes, they were fantastic days, they were.
Oh, well, yeah. Bob, thank you so much for being with us. Really looking forward to talking to you a little bit more detail later. I hope Sheila is listening. I understand she was painting this morning.
She's painting and decorating.
Right. Well, I hope she is listening. If you are, Sheila, hello. You're listening to Women Today on Manx Radio. It's 2:15. I think even I would have picked that one up.
That's pretty much identical. But you know, when we're saying about how everything's pretty much been done before, what you tend to find nowadays is producers and writers, they hear something that's a massive hit, you know, like for instance one of Pharrell's or something like that, and then they pretty much make a point of just trying to recreate it because they know it'll be a hit.
You get influenced by a particular thing, and I look in music, I like what we call a diminished chord, and if I play a song, if I'm writing a song, I suddenly find that this diminished chord has popped in there because it's a way of writing a song, and it's a chord that you like.
That's what happens to me all the time. Everything I've written, I think, oh no, I can't use it.
thought you were a Divinity School.
Well, thank you, Bob. You're listening to Women Today
This
on
is
Manx
named
Radio FM. Well, we'll just move on. 22 minutes past 2 now. Customers of the shoe brand Office have been visibly bristling after receiving a mark. Are you all right?
That was a good pun there.
Well, nobody knows what's coming yet, possibly, because they got a marketing email reminding them to shave their legs. The subject line read, "Show a little leg," while underneath it said, "Just don't forget to shave them." And people have interpreted this as a command to anyone who wishes to wear Office shoes to remove all their leg hair first. One woman has taken her frustrations to Mumsnet and the Daily Mail, saying, "I want people to know what they email women so they can make the decision for themselves if they want to shop there. I know I do not want to support sexist companies." Just wondered whether you think this is sexist, or has it been taken too far? Does it lead on to the notion of pressure to get your body ready for summer? I don't know. How would you feel about getting an email like that, Christy?
I don't think it's sexist. I'd probably think, well, that's a rather harsh thing to say. But I do think there is a bit of pressure. You know, summer is meant to be about having fun. It's meant to feel about, carefree. And there is that idea, first of all, the whole thing about bikini bodies. Then there's also, you're meant to have a tan, and then all the fashion and everything as well. So, I suppose it is just another thing, isn't it? Because I have to admit, I would not get my legs out if they weren't clean shaven. And I don't even know where that's come from, because it's obviously from being somewhere in my youth, someone has said, well, you have to shave your legs then, and so I do,
Yeah, would it have been better had they sent out a picture saying, it doesn't matter if you don't, and had a picture of somebody with hairy legs, perhaps? Don't know, you're shaking your head there, Bob.
I'm never shaving my legs, ever. No.
You never know, you might like it.
Well,
We'll move on again. You may remember us covering the story recently of Nicola Thorpe. She was the one who was sent home from her temp job when she refused to wear high heels. Well, women who have had a similar experience are now being invited to share those experiences with MPs in the UK, and it's all part of a new inquiry. The investigation has been launched by the Petitions Committee and is going to look at what the problem is, what the law says, and what can be done to make the law better. And the deadline for comments, if you have any, is Thursday, June the 16th at 10 a.m. Will you be sending one?
I don't know. No, probably not, to be fair. Probably not. I mean, we've discussed this on the show, obviously, previously when we talked about the Nicola story in itself. It's great that it's come to light because, not just that, I think also from the point of view of heels are uncomfortable. So not only just the fact that you feel forced to wear them, but they are uncomfortable, and to wear them all day, every day, they can cause all kinds of trouble for your feet and for your legs. So, it should definitely be a personal choice. And so if people have had issues, then I congratulate them for getting involved with it, definitely.
Well, 142,000 people have signed a petition calling for a ban on forcing women to wear heels, interestingly. So we shall await the outcome of that one. I won't ask you about heel wearing.
I'm not wearing high heels either.
No, okay.
Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Sponsoring Women Today, citywing.com for business or leisure flights.
29 minutes to 3. You missed a very interesting discussion between Christy, Bob and myself about how to catch spiders, and then moving on to eating them. Not quite sure how we got on
Which
to that.
we don't, obviously,
No,
do we,
we
Bob?
don't. No.
Not a whole one.
Not a whole one. We are going to now join Joe Pack, who is down at the grandstand. How's it going there, Joe? Oh, my goodness. I mean, I don't know if you were still going around doing tours and things when your girls were young, Bob, were you?
Yeah, but the girls came on summer seasons, like when we played the Lido here. They always came, and on a Friday night, all the boys' families, children, would go in had a circle cordon off for them, and they just sat there and heckled us on a Friday night, every Friday. But they loved it. It was nice to have them there. And summer seasons basically became with, but not on tour. No.
So at what point did you decide that you wanted to make the Isle of Man your home then? Did you come over during the summer?
1975 or 6, I think it was, when we did a season at Lido and Lido, and Sheila said it'd be a nice place to retire. And the business wasn't great at the time, and we said, yes. And we looked around and saw this little cottage in Laxey and decided to put an offer in, and eventually we got it. And so we kind of sat on it for a few years and saved up a few pence to do it up. And eventually, when I retired at 59, when I was 59, I came out of the business, and Sheila was still doing a tour with Glenn Miller Orchestra. So she did about 7 years after I came out of the business. But I was a corner man for the band. I sat in and did all the lighting and the sound for the band for those seven years. And they paid my expenses of travelling. I would have been with Sheila anyway. So
I imagine, the first time you were sat in your cottage in Laxey in November must have been a very different experience to what you had been doing during the summer season, because the Isle of Man is quite a different place then, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's proved perfect for Sheila and I as we've got older. It's a lovely place to settle down and have no big issues and problems. And we've got an enormous amount of friends over here now, so which is good. We love it.
Bob, stay with us because we're going to be talking about a very special track in just a moment.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Women Today, brought to you by citywing.com for your next flight away.
It is 17 minutes to 3 and our studio guest this afternoon is Bob Wragg. He was a member of what's been described as Britain's first boy band, the Dallas Boys. And Bob's been back in the spotlight recently because he wrote a song for the England team's 1982 bid for the World Cup.
And every single one of us remembers when, 'cause we...
And it was recorded with some very special people. Who were they, Bob?
It was the England World Cup '66 team, Bobby Moore's team. They were. Do you want me to tell you what happened? We were all near Leicester doing a promo tour, and I was recording in the studio at the time. This was in 1982, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get the band, the boys in, record a song that I wrote for the 1982 team, Kevin Keegan's team, going out to Spain. And we got them in the studio. I wrote a song overnight, whipped them in the studio, taught them the song, taught them the words. I even taught little Alan Ball how to sing a harmony. And he was chuffed about that. And it came out well, and we thought, great, the boys. And then they had to go off again for another promotion, and we sent it down to EMI, and they over the moon when it flipped and said, oh, that's great, we'll release that. And the next day the Falklands War broke out. So EMI said, I'm sorry, it doesn't seem right to, it says inappropriate now to release the song. And so that was it.
But how did you even know at that point? You just grabbed them in the studio and said, come and do this thing. You didn't know if any of them could hold a note.
Well, but I mean, normally, it's a footballing song. So, but little Alan Ball, that part, that's Alan Ball singing the top harmony. It's just a third above the melody. And when I taught it, he said, I've got that, Bob. And he sang it. And he was chuffed. He said, oh, he sounded all right, that, didn't it?
Oh. So
and we tracked them, of course,
Here we are then, 34 years later. Why, what got you thinking about this track again?
Well, I was sitting at home in Laxey, and I read the Express, and there was an article on there about the '66 World Cup team should all be knighted because they did such a good job and there's never any problems with them. But half of them now have gone, and half of them have got Alzheimer's. So I said to Sheila, that video we did and that record we did, we've got it somewhere on the shelf. And we quickly went through it. It took us about half an hour to find it. We were diving in all corners of the room, and we found it. We put the video on, and we looked at each other and we said, oh, that's incredible. It's so emotional when you see all these guys. And I thought, Alzheimer's, wouldn't it be great to get that off and get the money towards the Alzheimer's research? And I contacted a friend of mine who's a promoter in Blackpool, who's on the internet. He understands internet, which I don't. And he said, great idea, great video, and a great single. Let's put the two together and sell them. So they are on Amazon now for £5 for the two. You get the video and the double-sided record.
So all the money is going to go to Alzheimer's UK research. And what you really want, Bob, is a retailer here on the island to take hold of this.
We would love to have a big retail shop would sell them for us, because it would just help. And the boys need it now, because heading that big heavy football in the 60s and 50s, and most of them are going down with Alzheimer's now. I'm sure it's heading that wet football. Must have been heading a cannonball, really. So it'd be lovely to get a bit back for the lads and get them looking at it into research of it all,
From your point of view, though, what has it been like, really sort of getting back into the hot seat almost?
Terrible. Well, I mean, we did about 15 years over here. When I retired, we did about 15 years. We had a little group together called the Rensall Ringers and Singers. And we went round all the homes and the places. And we were doing like 2 or 3 shows a week. And we did a lot of shows for charity over here. And anything we got paid, we sent to Operation Smile. And over the 15 years, we probably sent them about £5,000 or £6,000. We'd save it up and send them a cheque. And they were well over the moon with that. And we enjoyed doing it. Until I had a bit of a heart wobbly once, and Sheila said, "That's it, no more. Charity begins at home."
Well, this is a perfect time to release it. The Euros are coming up. I understand. My 9-year-old told me that this morning.
Yes, yeah.
And actually, they've just been talking this week about the song that's been produced for the Euros with Izzy Bizu, and I think yours is better, I have to say.
Well, if you
Bob.
saw the video, which is for sale with it now, and I mean, what's £5 note is then? Nothing. And it's such a good cause. It'd be great to, as you said, if we could get a retailer interested. Bang.
So if anyone's listening and they want to support you in that, how can they get in touch with you, Bob?
Well, I would speak to you, and I think probably the best thing is to get in touch with you, girls.
Am I like your agent?
Yeah,
then?
you are
Yeah?
now.
Oh,
You're working
look
for
at
me, girls.
Hey,
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
It is out on iTunes, though, isn't it? So you have you talk about, we don't really know about the internet, but it's available as a download. So
The record is available as a download, but you need to see the video.
Yeah.
Because the video is the cream on the cake. It really is. Very emotional and lovely to see.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Grab the family, grab a flight, and grab a breakaway with citywing.com. Sponsors of Women Today.
It is 9 minutes to 3. We've been getting some celebrity gossip, haven't we, during the ad breaks, Christy?
We
The
have.
stories Bob Wragg has. Some of them we might even be able to broadcast. Not many of them, though. Doesn't know any about you, Alex Brindley.
No. Definitely don't fit into celebrity category. Sorry
no,
about
that's
that.
true, actually.
But coming up after 3, this is what you'll like this story this afternoon, Beth. I'll look at Christy when I say this because she won't get us wound up. Apparently, times have changed, and according to a survey out today, the postmodern woman has made peace with doing the domestic chores. Apparently, the majority of women feel a sense of empowerment having given the house a good clean.
Oh.
Boulder Dash.
A sense of empowerment. No, it's just... carry on.
Just because a survey doesn't agree with you doesn't mean it's wrong.
I don't not agree with it. I just think a sense of empowerment is possibly taking it a little bit too far.
So you're disagreeing with it then?
Well, no, I just think sense of empowerment. What?
That's what they say. And to discuss it further, I'm going to be chatting to the TV star of How Clean Is Your House, Aggie Mackenzie, this afternoon. And... other people's point of view, live and let live. Also, we're talking about when you fly anywhere, what's your must-have item when you take, get on board a flight? Do you take your iPod, a book, a Kindle, or a screwdriver? Yep, we're discussing the strange things that people actually have requested from stewards when on a flight.
I love the little glass box thing that you see when you go through airport security of the things that have been taken off people.
Meat cleavers and things.
I know. A can opener. Really?
It's the meat cleaver. It's obviously the butcher who thought, well, I've got a 4-hour flight. I might as well, do some butchering of a pig or something while I was up there. We're also taking a walk around the National Glens to win a Domino's pizza, and especially for someone who shall remain nameless, today we're celebrating World Gin Day. More music after 3.
Yes, great. Look forward to that. It is the Queen's official birthday on Saturday, people. How are we celebrating?
Go to a party at yours.
Yes. Street party.
Well, yes.
It better be on, Beth.
Yes. I've got fingers crossed for the weather. Bob Wragg, are you a fan of the Queen as opposed to
Yes.
Queen, the band?
Yes, I am, yeah. We've done a few Sheila's done about 4 Royal Command performances, and we did 1. But we've got pictures to prove it, shaking hands with the Queen, and all the photographs in the 50s and 60s, yeah.
Amazing.
Lovely, wonderful.
Did you curtsy?
I didn't curtsy, no. But it was funny when Sheila, the Duke of Edinburgh, was standing behind the Queen. The Duke of Edinburgh said to Sheila, "Where are you girls playing at the moment then?" And the Queen said, "They're here at the play." She knew everything what was going on. Incredible. She got a whole itinerary of everybody who's working on the show. Yeah.
She is amazing. Yes, street parties hopefully happening up and down the island.
Have you got any cakes with the icing and then the edible ball bearings? Those always have to be had at street parties, edible ball bearings on cakes.
My mother-in-law has made the cake of cakes for the Queen's birthday.
She does make spectacular
She is amazing.
cakes.
Yeah.
For the Queen, you made it sound there. Forget us. She sent it off to Buck House.
I'll tell you, she'll be arriving about 3 o'clock, I reckon. Yeah, it's true.
Are we having bunting and stuff like
There's
this? as well?
bunting. bunting, fancy dress, you name it.
Wait a minute, rewind. Fancy
dress.
Yeah.
That wasn't on the invite.
No, as in just look a bit
Queenly. Queen-like.
Look a bit queeny. Right. And that opens it up to a whole new interpretation now for fancy dress. You wait.
Yeah, can't wait for that one. We have been joined in the studio this afternoon by Bob Wragg, and we've been talking about the charity single. All the money is going towards Alzheimer's Research UK. And Bob, just appealing to anybody who has been affected, presumably by Alzheimer's, but just wants to support this cause to get out there and really own a piece of history.
Quite well. I mean, it's only a fiver, and if we could get it into a big retail, it's even better. But it's just nice for it to go somewhere and get these boys sorted, and everyone else who has Alzheimer's, because it's a big problem at the moment.
It is, and since Bob's been in as well, we've heard so many stories from him. And I just have to mention before we go, we were downstairs talking, and Al Bell from our newsroom came up, and you were chatting away. You obviously know each other quite well, and Alex let slip that you taught him how to play guitar.
Yes, when he was a young lad, he was into the Beatles and all the thing, and he got the guitar, and I said, well, what do you want to do? Learn the piano, the ukulele, or the guitar? And he said, the guitar. And he had the guitar. Yeah, so I gave him the first 3 chords, I think, that he learnt. Yeah, he's doing well now. Nice lad.
Music
Very nice lad.
All over the island.
I know his family very well as well.
Oh, shout out to Al Bell there. Maybe, can you play the ukulele or the guitar?
No, my dad plays the ukulele, annoyingly so. He was a massive fan of George Formby, so he taught himself to play over every family dinner in the evening. So we stupidly bought him a ukulele, and then for about 3 years solidly, every evening meal, all my dad was sitting there strumming, just singing, Little Stick of Blackpool Rock, and when I'm cleaning windows and stuff like this. So I've kind of gone off the...
Nothing wrong with that.
There is a limit to just how many times you can hear the same song over and over again.
Well, I suppose so.
But they're very trendy now, ukuleles, aren't they? Yeah, they became
well, we
a
got
big thing.
Lexi School playing them. They were all on recorders, and Jean Haxall, the headmistress there, saw us doing a charity show with the ukes, and she said, what's all this uke symbol? I said, well, recorders are over now. I said, it's a ukulele. And she bought about 30 or 40 for the school, and we went over it for a couple of Christmases and taught all the kids, and we had a little ukulele orchestra, and
Right.
they loved it.
Another idea forming in my head. It's just...
Women Today's ukulele band.
Yes.
And we'll get Alex's dad on board.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Genius.
All yours, take him. Take him like that. I've heard enough of it by now.
Well, tomorrow is a bank holiday, so we are going to be back on Monday when we'll be talking about a Manx company which is celebrating its 130th anniversary. But to play us out today, in honour of our studio guest, Bob Wragg, thank you so much for being here, Bob, and for all the stories. Here are the World Cup winners of 1966 with We Were There.
We were there, back in 1966. We were there, we are the team Alf Ramsey picked. Nobby Stiles was at the back, he was there to fill the gap, and every single one of us remembers when, 'cause we were there. Gordon Banks, he was there, with the safest pair of hands. Bob and Jack, they were there, with everything to please the fans. Bobby Moore to lead us on, Martin Peters going strong, and every single one of us remembers when, 'cause we were there. We beat them all, we beat them all, Mexico. We showed the world that we're the best. We beat them all, Portugal. We beat them all, Germany. Fought for us and to the rest. How we laugh, how we cry, with the World Cup by our side. And every single one of us remembers when, 'cause we were there.
And so, from the lads of 66, to the team of 82.
Women Today, brought to you by citywing.com for your next flight away.